As many of you know, today the stock market started off with a over 1,000 point drop, and by the end of the day, it was up somewhere near, or I'm sorry, it was down somewhere near 500 or 600. And this on top of 3 other days last week of horrible losses. And certainly the reason behind it is China's spiraling economy is sending the rest of the world into shock mode, but is the worst yet to come? Well, I've been watching the world and also the U.S. economy for some time. And certainly the numbers as far as economic and unemployment figures and things of that nature that usually are the bellwether of whether an economy is strong do not reflect an economy that looks to be running out of control. And certainly every tabloid news media show, website, or even Bible Prophecy channel is going to take this situation and look at it from the most horrible perspective they possibly can. And certainly if in fact it is the truth that we are headed into a global economic disaster, I certainly want to report that as being true. And there's one thing that does need to be said, that China simply is not done yet. They do have a little more correction and correcting to do. And nobody really knows how bad it's going to get with China. And certainly they are connected to the rest of the world, and in some ways it will trickle down to the European Union and also to the United States. And there's one other thing that many are not looking at, is the fact that plunging oil prices are also a part of the factor. Over the last week, oil has dipped below 40. And when I say 40, I mean $40 a barrel. So that in and of itself is a double-edged sword. Of course, that's going to help the economy as far as the U.S. is concerned, but at the same time, it's going to drive down stock in that sector. But right now, I just want to say it is way too early to start bringing down the judgment of God upon this world. And when I say that, many in the prophetic world, that's exactly what they're doing today. And will continue to do so until the correction is over with, which I fully believe will take place in the very near future. And I think you're going to see a lot of profit taking probably in the coming days. But it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next few days. By the end of the week, I think you're going to see things getting back to normal. Now, one thing that you need to know is this right here. For the last 4 years, stocks are up some 200%. In fact, here's the statistic for you. It says the S&P 500 has skyrocketed 220% since bottoming out at 666 during the Great Recession of March of 2009. Even as at its lows on Monday, which is today, it was at 1,866.86. So you can see right there that in only 6 short years, the S&P 500 has almost tripled. So it only stands to reason that it's going to be there's going to be some type of correction at some point. It simply can't keep growing and growing and growing without something taking place. Now, this isn't the first time this has happened. It won't be the last. So my advice to you is to wait and see what happens. Don't get caught up in the prophetic hoopla that many are trying to portray. Frankly, I'm thankful that it didn't happen in September. And by the start of September, I'm sure that the market will be stabilized. There are 2 nagging things that could, or actually 3, that could continue to hold it at bay. One being the oil prices. If they continue to plunge, that's going to be a problem. 2, nobody really knows how bad it is in China. And many analysts are still saying that there is going to be a number of different corrections as far as the yen is concerned. And many are saying that it is likely that they're going to devaluate the yen again. And this in an attempt to stay marketable as a player in the global economy. And last but not least, the U.S. federal government is about ready to make an announcement as to whether they are going to raise interest rates. Right now, it is at 0. And many investors are waiting to see what's going to happen with that. So let's wait and see what does happen. Like I said, these are 3 things that I would be looking at in the near future. But as far as the U.S. economy is concerned as it stands right now, they are very strong, and also the banking system is very strong. And those are 2 things that you should be looking at. And of course, unemployment is the 3rd thing. But those 3 items are very low at this time. So let's keep an eye on what does come to pass in the next couple of days and on into the week. And I think you're going to find that this story is going to be leading right back to where we started. And that is, if you're living in a world of Bible prophecy, you should have your eyes upon Israel and Jerusalem. That is the key to all Bible prophecy at this stage. As we see Israel drawing closer to a peace accord with many, that is certainly a sign that the rapture of the church is near, because following that is going to be that peace accord. where it will be climaxed. The Antichrist will make a peace with Israel and many. You know, a lot of people think there are a lot of things happening in Bible prophecy, but I only see two things that will ultimately make any difference whatsoever. Well, actually, I want to add a third thing. Iran and Russia have formed a partnership, both militarily and economically. That is prophetic. China, the Bible says in Revelation chapter 9 and also chapter 16 that a 200 million man army will march from the east to the west and destroy 1/3 of the world's population. Today, that is very possible with both China and with India, with both being in the east. And you know, a fourth one just came to my mind, satellite production. We are now able to watch simultaneously all over the world any event that is on television. You know, the Bible says in Revelation chapter 11 that there will be 2 witnesses who will die on the streets of Jerusalem, be killed by the Antichrist, and the world will view this. And in fact, they will give presents to one another. And as I said, with satellite television, that has now been made possible. And fourthly, and the granddaddy of them all, which I mentioned earlier, Jerusalem and Israel have now been reborn, and at some point in time, they will make a peace accord, and they're in the process of some type of peace accord right now. As I said in the past, I believe it will be a blanket umbrella type of peace accord that will encompass the whole Middle East, will create a Palestinian state. And I believe one piece of the puzzle that has or will be solved possibly in the next few days, or maybe into the next few weeks, and that is a ceasefire will be created between Israel and Hamas. And that is something I thought would never take place, and it still may not. But what has been touted as rumor, I believe we can now say that there is some fact to it. You know, over the last couple of days, I've heard people tell me or email me or put on comments that, oh, this is a lie. Somebody, one of the media stations had determined that it's not true, that Israel denies it. Well, I wanted to wait around to see whether Hamas denied it, and they didn't. In fact, they did say there was some truth to what has been said. And now as we move along further, there have been some details that have been brought forth. But these are the things that you should be looking at and paying attention to if you want to know where we are in Bible prophecy. Don't put your stock in some type of extra biblical fantasy type Bible prophecy, or prophecy, I should even call it Bible prophecy, that may or may not take place next month. In my opinion, I think this is just people's way of a fancy way of trying to get around date setting. And I've been doing Bible prophecy for a long time, and no date setting scenario has ever worked out under any circumstance. And heap that on top of some of the crazier type of beliefs of what some are saying is going to take place next month. I give it very little chance that anything will happen whatsoever. So keep with the Bible, stay right there tuned in with the Bible, and I think you'll be satisfied with the results and stay encouraged instead of stay discouraged. And if you have not got a copy of my free Tribulation Period Survival Guide, I would do so as quickly as you can. No, I don't believe that we are going through the tribulation period, but I created this book for those who will. And many of you have lost loved ones who do not know the Lord. And frankly, if they don't come to the Lord before the rapture, they're going to go through the tribulation period. So I would encourage you to get a copy of this book in their hands. Certainly you can print out this free version. It's the same thing as my paperback book, but if you don't want to print it out, you can get a copy, there's from around $8, and hand this book to them personally. And I would encourage you to do that too as well. And if you don't know the Lord, you are living on dangerous ground. You know, 150,000 people die every single day, but the Bible says that the vast majority will end up in a burning hell. You don't know if you're going to be that one person out of 150,000 that will die today. Don't take your life in your own hands, because you don't know when you're going to die. Come to the Lord today. He wants to save you. Well, this is Terry Malone with the Calvary Prophecy Report.